Historical hot or not?
Gentle Dolphin, our name is Hot Not Pod. The King of Heaven has sent us to bring you and your kingdom bawdy humour, crass references to bodily fluids, and a wealth of content assessing the hotness of the dead. You may burn us at the stake for our crude humourings, but you will burn the very God you claim to worship, for he has sent a voice, and that voice is historical hot or not. I am Aidan McCaffrey. I am neither French, a Christian martyr, or a historian, and this is...
Catherine Mather, and I'm also not a historian, and fucking hell, Ed, and what an intro. But we are we are comedians who are horny for history, and today we are joined by both a comedian and a historian. It's Paul Duncan McGarrity.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. I like the idea. By the way, we need to clarify the comedian part of things because I now am only a comedian for children.
Oh, okay. Well, hopefully we'll get some of your audience.
No, this is going to be a very different change of pace. I was sick of being heckled with 4-letter words and switched over to just doing archaeology-based comedy for children, so that the heckles were esoteric and weird.
Is there a big archaeology for children comedy circuit?
No, but the archaeology for comedy circuit was saturated with three of us, so I had to break out.
There's not room for us all in this town. Awesome. Do you know, last night I did a gig in the same theatre as Horrible Histories, and this lady just kept going on about how great I was on stage, and I was like, I wasn't at Horrible Histories. And she just would not have it that I was not a Horrible Histories person. So
it's good to have on your credits, Kath, Horrible History, so I just let it be. Just let it go around saying Kath Mather is great.
So the kids comedy, that's what tell us more. Sell your wares.
Sell my wares. Well, it's mostly through a group called Comedy Club for Kids, who do stand-up comedy shows aimed at children. And they asked me to do it, and I thought, what do children like more than learning various names for jobs that are directly related with poo throughout history? So it's essentially finding new ways for them to insult their parents without necessarily being in trouble for it. There's children across this country now calling their mothers clatterfarts. And
I bet back then that was like as strong as it got language-wise. As strong as it got. It's a bit like how the first... It's a bit like how the first Avengers film has the word quim in it. Because Loki says, "This is my bargaining mule in Quim," but it got past the PG-13 because it was such an odd Chaucerian swear word to include in a blockbuster that the censors didn't pick up on it at all. But I remember a couple of people I was with at the cinema went, did he just say the word Quim in a PG-13?
That's outstanding. I mean, it's a shame they didn't continue down that one, sort of like, accusing people of being grooms of the stool, using properly like old-fashioned... I would like to see Iron Man just scrolling through things. What can I say in PG-13 just on the overheads?
MedievalUrbanDictionary.com.
Yeah. Thou art a knave and a cur. Ooh, steady now.
It is always impressive in these films that they manage to like go through all of the shit that they do and nobody ever swears, isn't it?
Well, they do that once because you're allowed one swear in a PG-13 or 12.
Oh.
Yeah.
You're allowed one F-bomb, and I don't think it can be sexual. So, yeah, I know what you mean. The world's ending. I'd be seeing and MFing and effing and jeffing all over.
But I think when, Spider-Man, spoilers, Spider-Man dusts off in the Avengers movie, I think it would be slightly less impactful if you just went, fuck.
But
I think it'd bring more to the piece.
Yeah.
Actually.
So you're not. So you trained archaeologist then?
I am. I worked. I'm still an archaeologist at the moment in my current role, but I was a commercial archaeologist for about 14 years in and around London. So I've dug on everything from Neolithic all the way up to World War II sites. So yeah, it's a bit of a fun job.
We discussed this briefly recently. I can't remember who it was with, but am I right in thinking that, like, with big construction jobs, and I mean stuff like HS2, that's kind of a bit of a boom time for you guys? Because by law, you guys have to go in first and make sure they're not, like, I don't know, building a train line through some old church or something that hasn't been excavated yet.
It's sort of like that, yeah. We're part of the planning laws and have been since 1990. So any time that there's potential archaeological site being there, then the developer has to pay for the archaeological mitigation. Think of us as the equivalent as if you found a great crested newt or a bat. You have to call those guys in, and we're usually on site at the same time as them. So I got to know a lot about birds of prey and stuff. But archaeologists come on, and you don't necessarily find that we stop things from being built. What we usually do is we're being brought in so far in advance that we're telling people, you're about to dig through this, that, and the other. Maybe you don't want to go that way. And the reason we have any laws covering archaeology is down to one very specific site. It was the discovery of the Rose Playhouse on the south bank of the Thames. Didn't have any legal protection. The developers were going to dig through it, but because it was an Elizabethan playhouse, loads of actors found out about it, so they were processed.
Those guys.
Well, you're gonna like it. They were protested.
Spare time, those out of work actors. They've got time. They have time to protest.
One of the leaders of the protests was a pre-Sir Ian McKellen. Which means that archaeology in this country only has legal protection in planning law because Ian McKellen stood in front of a bulldozer and said, "You shall not pass."
I love that so much.
So they must find you guys so annoying, though. Like, they're trying to dig a rail network that'll modernize the infrastructure of the entire country, and you're like, "Hang on, guys, there might be a Roman coin there, so stand back 3 months while we dig it up as slow as humanly possible, so we don't disturb it."
So I did work on HS2. I did 2 sites either end of the line, and I can tell you that is not the dynamic. It was very much more kind of the case of, thank you for giving us something we can talk about that isn't people are less likely to complain about, was sort of how they felt about us, I think. But no, it was 2 really interesting sites. 2 cemetery sites, both sort of Georgian Victorian ones, which meant we got a really good comparison of them. And we were looking at big populations that were being affected by the industrialization. So it's that weird symbiotic relationship, is that the big infrastructure is coming on and modernizing things, and we're helping to reduce the impact in the first instance through what we're doing. Secondly, recording things that are there, and for the final instance, we're getting access to stuff that we wouldn't necessarily be able to look at, and increasing kind of the models that we're working from to be able to look at the impact of population density, impact of pollution, impact of wealth disparities, and all that sort of stuff. Particularly as some of these areas were impacted by the initial construction of train networks in sort of the 1840s, 1850s. So it was a nice parallel to have it. But we were definitely occasionally hung out to dry as the only people that anyone could talk to. So I'd be doing a talk on archaeology and someone would go, "Excuse me, what about the noise of the trains?" "I don't know." "And I can tell you about skulls."
The future and the past clashing, like Stonehenge being converted into electric charging points for a Tesla. It's beautiful. I love it.
I'm not against that.
What were you saying, Kath?
I don't know why. I don't know why people are disappointed by Stonehenge. I went, and it's all right, isn't it? Like, it's a bunch of rocks in a field. What more do you want from it?
That's what disappoints me, is people think it's a bunch of rocks in a field.
Yeah.
The actual interesting bit of Stonehenge is all the stuff around it. If you stand in Stonehenge and look at the environment around you, you've got multiple kind of barrows. Like, the whole environment is this incredible thing. And anyone who's ever been in a car with me driving to a gig in southwest England is like, "Oh, God, you've told us this." It's like, yeah, but did you listen?
That's the thing.
Do not book this guy for Bristol Jongers. He's going to fuck off whoever he's in a car share with.
Oh, I have a shopping list of people who will not drive with me because of of guy going, oh, let me tell you something about that particular site.
But it was built for sound, right? Wasn't it? The shapes. Maybe. But
Yeah.
I couldn't look on the day that I went, it was raining so hard. It was COVID times, so they were only they got a little van that takes you. No idea why the gift shop's built so far away from it, but that's a separate incident.
I think that might be the archaeology.
That's a separate complaint that I got. But
although pinning that one, inappropriate gift shops, I'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah. But like, so the little cars that take you there, they were only for people who, like, if you didn't have any legs or whatever. So I couldn't be like, as a healthy person, can I ever go? So they made us walk through all these fields, and it was raining so hard that this child was just sobbing the whole way. It was so sad. There was just kids upset. I couldn't look at it properly because it was just hitting me in the face so hard. And then I had to walk back, and it was like another hour for the bus back because I got the train and then a bus. So, and then I had a whole day in Salisbury, and I came home and I was ill for like the illest I've ever been for a week. I was hallucinating. I was so wet and damp on that trip.
It sounds less like a trip to Stonehenge and more like a reenactment of a penal death march.
Yes, it was horrendous. I was looking forward to it so much.
My favourite fact about Stonehenge is how the underhenge is actually a Cyberman transmitter. That's quite, yeah. I mean, I can't remember which history book I read that in. I think that the history book was called The Pandorica Opens, Doctor Who. But I don't know. It's a good fact.
Magnificent.
Inappropriate gift shop.
So in gift shops, you were saying about it being far away. Well, obviously, it's impacting. But the most, I was going to say, imagine if they had this in Stonehenge and they're selling the trinkets out off the middle rock of the bluestone. And then my mind immediately went to, have either of you been to HMS Victory down in Portsmouth?
No. I have not.
So anyone who doesn't know it, HMS Victory, it's the flagship of Nelson. It's where he died. So obviously they've got a little thing saying this is where he, where he passed on. It's got a little lantern, kind of a light there like this, and it's quite somber. Literally, the next room you can buy stuff with his face on and trinkets and all this sort of stuff. So you go from with the audio tour. This is where he breathed his last. Do you want to buy some tats?
We've got a lighter with his face on it.
Got a bulletproof vest with his no.
Oh man,
I have no complaints about that.
It is difficult, isn't it, as to what is in bad taste?
The
amount of Jack the Ripper theme things. Oh.
In my view, no gift shop is in bad taste. I love a gift shop.
Me too.
No gift shop is in bad taste, right?
Are you going to test
accepted?
Do they? Oh, that's an interesting one. Do they have one at places like Auschwitz?
I literally was just thinking that.
Good,
they don't know. And that probably would be distasteful.
That's the one.
Yeah.
The photo booth and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, no, that would be particularly grim.
That'd be fucking awful. Well, good. I'm glad we've cleared that up. We should probably get on with the podcast, shouldn't we? Aidan, because this is my episode, would you like to just let the good people at home, and indeed Paul, know what the fuck we're going to be doing?
I would love to, Kath. Thank you for asking. This is Historical Hot or Not. In each of these episodes, Kath and I take it in turns to pitch to each other and the guest a historical figure. We talk about their life and times. We look at an image of the person, decide if they're hot. Then we assess their personality, and we decide if this person is, on balance, sufficiently hot to make it onto the biotaphatistry to join such historical luminaries as Jane Fall, Lord Byron, the Turin Shroud, and Theodore Roosevelt, and many others. And I believe that is the format.
That is the format, you're right. So what we'll do is of course, the potential suitors that we're finding are from the eTrosed dating app. I'm just going to pop over a picture of today's subject.
Ooh.
This image is of Joan. She is 19 and she's from Domrémy La Pucelle. Paul, would you like to just describe who we're seeing in this image? What you're seeing and whether it's a yes or a no?
So far.
Thus far, yeah.
Thus far, based only on this image. Bit young for me, for a start. Incredible armour, and as an owner of a suit of armour myself, I can really appreciate how wonderfully covered those biceps are by those. Magnificent. Confident eyes, a little bit of, turn up for the day on time or I'm going to murder you vibes.
She has got a big sword.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the cathedral behind her. She's getting 2 or 3 points just by the backdrop alone. And nice bob cut. I would say she's probably looking a bit, I'm going to go 19th century artwork. But she seems to have a bit more rouge than what I might expect from a 15th century Maid of Orleans.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I just went for the hottest looking picture on Google Images because a lot of them were like.
Given what happens to Joan of Arc, I think there might be some more hot images.
True, you're right. Yes. Aidan, would you?
Based on this image before me, absolutely. Distinctly French looking. I mean, I know who this episode's about, so maybe I'm reading that in. But she does look French, in my view. Carrying the sword. She's got the sword, and she's got the bob haircut. It's a little bit like if Amelie was about to...
Yeah, that's what I want. I want more whimsy in my 100 Years' War.
Yeah. But I will say Amelie is a very attractive woman, including Audrey Tautou, the actress who plays her. So that's not necessarily putting me off. The question I've got to ask is it worth having my head or my dick cut off for a night with this lady? She's very beautiful. I suppose one maybe sticking point. I can't sure if I can zoom in and read it, but it says something on her. Does it say Jesu Maria across her?
Yeah, it does say. Yes, it does.
I mean, that might be a red flag. Like, if someone's wearing like a cross.
No, it's a white flag.
Sorry, yeah. A big white flag. It might be a red or white flag in as far as, like, having a cross around the neck. Like, people are entitled to their own beliefs and systems, but as a raging atheist, I suspect I might clash with this lady who, dare I say, seems somewhat pious.
I'm glad you clarified it was because of atheism, because initially it did sound like you were a vampire. It's like, I like it, but the cross around the neck might be an issue.
And you two are like, why can't we see you on the video feed, Aidan? And I'm like, no reason. No reason.
I mean, she's got some pretty strong views. I'll be honest with you. And she doesn't kind of back down from them.
I bet if she'd lived 20 years more, she'd be voting for Keir Starmer. It's just the fact that she's young.
Oh, yeah, I'd like to have seen a 30-year-old, 40-year-old Joan of Arc looking back over her life.
A centrist version of Joan of Arc looking back and going, God, I was a bit much when I was 18, wasn't I?
We should have really just negotiated the seat for it.
Well, I mean, you've both accurately guessed who she is. So, I mean, I'm saying yes from this picture. I'm going to put aside the age disparity. We did speak about Juliet Capulet, who was 14. But we went with the original version in which she was 19. Because that made it a little bit more palatable. So, I mean, she is 19.
I like that you've made that the most... Kath, I like how you've made that the most controversial episode when we actually did an episode about a dog.
We did.
We did an episode about a World War II dog who, let's face it, was younger than Joan of Arc.
But, Aidan, to be fair, how far into the episode about Judy the dog did we get before you realised I was talking about a fucking dog?
It was at least 60%. At least 60%.
Yeah. It was
Sorry, was
quite...
that a fucking dog or dog? No, anyway.
I think it was when I said that she had a litter of 13 children that alarm bells began ringing.
Alarm bells, but I still
anyway.
didn't fully clock on. I'm not the brightest bulb in the pack.
I won't mind. I told him I was going to do one about a dog, but there we go.
Still didn't get it. Still didn't pick up on it either. Anyway.
So, from this superficial assessment of the legally aged, and we're going to overlook any age differences between us, we're going to pretend that she's in her 30s for this. Next question. Would you?
Yeah, I think we're all on board with. As I said, I don't think she would do me because I think she would sense my. She'd see the copy of the God Delusion on my bookshelf, and I think that would be done. But I would certainly be willing to be intimate with her if she was willing to be intimate with me, based solely on her looks as depicted by this 19th century artist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm going on a first date at the very least. I think there's enough there. She's this picture, good looking girl. Secondly, massive suit of armour. I'm talking about the armour.
Yeah. And I'd sit across from her at a Wagamama's. Right, well, I'll tell you a little bit more about her then. And I am going to feel incredibly embarrassed because I think you guys probably know a lot more than I do about her. So please don't correct me if I'm wrong. Just like that woman in the car park yesterday who thought I was part of Horrible Histories. Just nod and smile, baby. So, born around 1412, which some of you may recognise as being about 40 years away from the end of the 100 Years' War between England and France, which, I mean, like, if you found out that it was the 100 Years' War, if you're like, what are we calling this war? The 100 Years' War. And how far into it are we? 60. Oh, no. But she didn't know that.
I think it's too presumptuous to call it that. It's like when, Marvel Studios announce their upcoming slate of films and they'll say, these are the 15 superhero films we're going to make over the next 20 years. But they only get halfway through them because people sort of lose interest. I think it was quite presumptuous of them to call this the 100 Years' War,
Also, and I know people will point this out all the time, but the 100 Years' War lasted 116 years. It was like the end of the Lord of the Rings. They did not know how to stop it.
So you're actually saying this is going to take 100 years, let's call it the 100 Years' War, was way too optimistic on their part.
Oh, yeah. That was the medieval equivalent of Home by Christmas.
Yeah. Which also in that war, can you imagine being like, don't worry, you've fought in World War One. What do you mean one?
We just need to leave wriggle room, guys.
We'll be home by Christmas 1450, but it's 1350 now. That's what I said, 1450. Yeah. Someone can correct me on the actual dates of the 100 Years' War. Yeah, I was riffing.
Yeah, I don't know that. I'll be honest, Wikipedia features heavily in this. Please don't judge me, Paul. She was born in Domrémy in northeastern France. Please don't at me if you speak French. I don't care. I'm not learning it again. Joan's dad was called Jacques d'Arc. He was a peasant farmer, and her mum, Isabelle Romé, was a woman, which at the time was enough. Joan had 3 brothers and a sister. The family owned around 50 acres of land, which I think is quite a lot for a peasant, isn't it? But then her dad also worked as a village official, heading the local watch and collecting taxes, which I'm sure made him quite popular.
Is this post-plague
in the community?
Which plague?
Yeah.
The big one in the 14th century. It is, isn't it?
Pre-Black Death, I think. No, it's post. No, it's post-Black. Black Death comes multiple times.
Bitches
the big one was
plaguing.
1346 to 1353. So that might explain why he's got both a pauper and owns so much land. Because obviously, as we were discussing in a recent episode, because the population was halved, the idea of what a pauper was in the early 1400s, it's probably very different to what a pauper is now. I'm a poor man. I only own 100 acres as opposed to 500 acres.
Yeah. Walking out into the fields. Guys? Oh, this is mine.
So her childhood would have been spent working on said farm, and she was touched by the fighting of the 100 Years' War, which happened pretty much exclusively on French soil and devastated their economy. You'd be so pissed, wouldn't you, if you were French? Like, coming over here with their war. Just fuck off. So, the war, okay, and correct me if I'm wrong here, this is what I've gleaned. The war was, at this point, in essence, about who should take the throne. There were English claims to the throne, but the French King Charles VI was currently ruling and struggled with bouts of psychosis that made him unable to rule. You know how it is. So he left his brother, Louis of Orleans, and his cousin, John the Fearless, sick name, to argue over which of them should take his place. A peace treaty between the two countries in 1420 declared Charles illegitimate and Henry V as king, with his son Henry VI taking over in 1422 when he died, roughly at the same time as Charles VI, whose son Charles VII had a claim to the throne, but his sister Catherine of Belair had married Henry V in 1420, effectively disinheriting Charles VII. Are we all on board? Are we all still keeping track?
Quick question. Which of those houses had the dragons?
It was the French one. Why it's a mystery they lost. Oh, we're at this point. Basically, everyone had the same name and was fighting for the crown, backstabbing, allying, and it was common people like Joan, common people who only had 50 acres of land, who had to leave their homes when they got invaded. Joan's village was attacked and cattle was stolen in 1425, which I guess would be like the equivalent of having your iPad nicked, wouldn't it, or something? Would it?
I don't know. It depends how you've had your iPad nicked. Were there about 50 English men-at-arms just marauding down the street?
Yeah, I lived in London.
Oh, fair enough. No, that's very reasonable then.
It also depends what you're using the iPad for. If you're a digital content creator, then like the cattle, that iPad is your lifeline. So, if, say, Joan of Arc, reviewed a new smartphone tech on her YouTube channel, this is the death knell for her. So,
Yeah. Or the resilience of the iPad as it's smashed by a halberd.
Exactly.
Watch me take this to battle, this Kindle. So I guess people were probably feeling a little bit desperate and not like living their best lives at this point, because they were 60 years into the 100-Year War. So they started making up bullshit. And one of the bullshits that they made up was a prophecy that there was a young virgin who would be the one to save France. At 13, as a virgin, Joan started to have visions, which were often when the church bells were ringing. She said that she saw St. Michael in the garden surrounded by angels and cried when he went because she wanted to take him with him. She also said that she had visions of St. Margaret and St. Catherine, and she took this to mean that she was the Virgin sent by God to save France. Do we think that she was bullshitting?
Yeah, I mean...
Considering the fervour that she went on to show,
yeah,
if she was bullshitting, I don't think she knew it. Do you know what I mean? Like, she really believes. Like, she's willing to fight to the death for a cause she believes in, whereas... I don't think most 13-year-old bullshitters have that. Do you know what I mean?
I don't know. Imagine if you get caught in a lie that big. Right.
You just got to carry it out.
Oh, you see visions, do you? We'll give you an army then. Oh, what? All right. Okay.
Are you sure you see visions? Yep.
Yeah.
No. You give me that army. I'm definitely seeing visions, and I'm going to take it to the end.
Fuck, I was just avenging my iPad.
She's 17 years old. She sat in a tent. She finally says, look, honestly, I didn't see anything. Everyone else around was like, all right, you're going to keep that to yourself. We are two in the hole on this, right? You keep that to yourself. You shut your mouth.
Shut your
I think
whole
she believed
mouth.
it, though. I think she believed it, though, because she was, we know what happened to her in the end. If they're dragging, spoiler alert, if they're dragging her towards that state, you think at that point she'd go, it's bullshit. It's fine. Okay, I made up the visions. Just don't burn me at the stake. But they didn't do that, did they?
No. Ergot poisoning's a hell of a drug.
Do you reckon it could? Because that's the other thing. I mean, it's like mental illness, right? Well, not. Yeah. I mean, I guess visions would be.
Well, yeah. I mean, it could be anything from like epilepsy, some sort of mental health issue, poisoning from various things. It's the Middle Ages. Everything is.
Yeah.
Everything is bile and blood and leeches, and everything else is magic.
Fair, yeah. She was lucky to have made it to 18.
Yeah.
No, well, 13. Sorry.
Well, that was her retirement plan. Was go hard between 13 and 19.
When she was 16 in May 1428, she asked her uncle to take her to meet the garrison commander, Robert de Baudricourt. Can you imagine that?
Work experience.
So she turned up and she said, "I want an army escort to the Armagnac court at Chinon." Can you imagine being an army officer, a commander, and just having some 16-year-old kid being like, "Now listen, mate, I got this."
Can I put it another way? Can you imagine being a man in the medieval period and a woman?
A child woman.
A child woman says, give me your soldiers. And he does.
Well, at this point, he doesn't. He looks at this child with no military training and he said, hell no. So she went back a little while later, January 1429, after he'd had a series of bad military fortune, and he still like, you fucking this up, mate.
All right, everyone, no wrong answers. Child soldier? Yeah, got it. No wrong answers, everyone. Let's brainstorm this campaign.
Blue sky thinking, people.
No. February 1429, though, he was willing to talk because they were balls deep in the siege of Orleans, and it was a strategically important stronghold for Charles's territory. So this third meeting with Joan, he said, "Yeah, all right, we'll send you to Chinon to meet with Charles." He gave her an escort of 6 soldiers and some men's clothes.
This is mental. Can you imagine if Putin, like, is losing the Ukraine war, goes, "Guys, we're desperate. Get the work experience girl in."
Yeah. Who have we got?
In command of a platoon. We're fucked otherwise.
We'll just get Greta Thunberg.
I like the idea. There's some of the guys in this story that I want to hear from. It's like, my liege, I have given you my sword. What do you command? Take this woman to the king. She's got magic visions. My lord, anything else you want me to do?
No, just take the virgin child to the king.
I could clean out the stables. Anything, honestly.
No, she's gonna win the war. You know,
I'll fight them on my own if you want. I'll just charge the walls. Anything.
Anything but this.
We're losing, guys. Ready operation send a mentally unwell teenage girl in as a military leader.
Are we going to go with that as the title? Yeah, I can't think of anything else.
This will turn it around.
Flash forward. Fuck me, that turned it around.
Don't worry, some desperate peasants who've lost everything said that she would win us the war. So, you can't argue with that logic.
Post-traumatic stress is a hell of a drug.
Yeah, baby. So she was 17 when she met the king, March 1429, and she made a really strong impression. He asked how do you say that word?
Theological?
Theologians.
Theologians.
He asked some of them guys.
Big talk church guys.
Yeah, them. Those wankers.
God pricks.
To speak with her to determine whether she was true. Yeah, God wankers. To determine whether she was true. And he asked his mother-in-law, Yolanda of Aragon, to inspect her to make sure she was a virgin. Which she was. I love that. If you can speak to these church wankers, and they'll see if you know your verses, and my mother-in-law's just going to have a prod at your minge, and...
I mean, we can't call them... Yeah.
They trust her enough to lead an army, but not enough to trust her when she says, "I've not had a cock in me." What is wrong with these people?
Sure. You talk to the angel Michael. That's a given. I also like the idea of church.
But we believe all young girls must inherently be sluts, so we do have to have a peek downstairs just to make absolutely sure you're not one. These people are...
The church wankers, they've broken off their conversation about could God make a penis big enough that he couldn't wank off, and they really want to know if you've had it up the chaff.
Don't worry, we'll be respectful about it. I'm going to get my mother-in-law.
Yeah. I reckon that conversation goes like this. Door closes, she comes in. Honestly, love, I couldn't give a fuck. These men are weird. I'll just say you're fine.
As well, what if she had, like, oh, no, it's all over, mate. Go back to your village. We're not giving you. You're spoiled goods.
The disapproving angel Michael there in the background.
Oh, what a bitch. I absolutely love this next bit because she wrote a letter to the Duke of Bedford saying that she'd been sent by God to drive him out of France. Imagine getting that letter. Imagine sending that letter.
Somehow he's trying to work out how this is medieval, like, fishing. It's like, if I open this scroll, do they get my treasury? How does this work? This has got to be a scam, right?
This is bullshit. I think it'd be like when you see like a little Yorkshire Terrier yapping for a gym. I could just crush you. Look at you.
Mm-hmm. Does this scroll contain any malware, which back then was the code for the Black Plague?
Yeah.
I thought you meant like I thought you were going to say a man just with a knife, whittling it down.
Some of those scrolls are very big, very big.
Yeah.
You could hide 4 or 5 full-grown men in there.
You've tied the vellum too tight. Our knave has died.
So, you know what? She had the confidence, God bless her, to slide into the Duke of Bedford's DMs, being like, fuck you. So she joined the army, transporting supplies for the relief at Orleans, arriving at the city on the 29th of April, 1429. She met with the, and again, fucking love this title, the commander Jean de Noir, who was the bastard of Orleans.
It's a bit like how you're the bitch of Rochdale, Kath.
Yeah, exactly. And you
I'm
are
the prick of Harrogate.
The cunt of Harrogate.
The twat of Middlesbrough.
Is
I like how I said I'm the prick of Harrogate, and you immediately thought that's not strong enough.
No. I've met you, Aidan.
Yeah, fair enough.
So her arrival lifted the spirits of the demoralised people. She flew her banner, advised on military issues.
Woohoo! There's a virgin here!
Even though she had no power to be advising anybody on anything, let alone military issues, because she was, and I cannot emphasise this enough, a 17-year-old girl whose only qualification was that she'd seen some made-up visions. Nevertheless, she seemed to provide quite good counsel, and her mere presence gave the soldiers the will to battle on. And 9 days after her arrival, the siege of Orleans ended in French success, and the people took this as a sign that she really was sent by God. Do you think, just at this point, was she sent by God? That's option 1. Option 2 is, do you think that there's just a whole bunch of horny guys who have been fighting their entire lives and know that they're never going to see a world after this war, and a pretty young thing comes along being like, I've been sent by God and I'm going to save you all, and no, you can't have any of this puss.
She's edging them to victory.
Yeah. And they're like, challenge accepted. If I'm manly and brave enough, I'm having some of that.
She's leading us into battle, yes. So we're looking at her from behind. Yeah, let's do it. Let's go for it. We're all on board for this, right, lads?
Yeah. Her armour won't be functional. It'll be figure hugging, right?
Yeah, of course.
Can I try? Can I suggest secret option 3?
Oh yes, please.
Secret option 3, as we now know from excellent work on professional wrestlers and people in American football, repeated blows to the head really do make you make some very strange decisions. And you've got to say, CTE is pretty much the secret answer to why did they do that in the Middle Ages?
And you mean specifically anything in the Middle Ages, not necessarily just this whole being led into army by a teenager thing?
No, it's everything to do with it. It's all right, I guess we're going to do this. This seems like a good idea. Yeah, I'm going to run at this castle armed only with a stick.
Brain damage, the fact that they were drinking all the time.
Yeah.
Fucking hammered.
Drunk and brain damaged. The Middle Ages.
Hey! You know what? It sounds like quite a good time, actually. Not for me, but...
for others.
Yeah. If you were rich, sure.
It's one of those things they don't really like caveat when they say, what time would you go to if you could time travel?
Yeah.
Oh, well, for me, as a 6'3" white man. Yay!
Who's it? Archie Maddox had a wonderful bit about I'm so bad I can't remember Sooty, what's his name? The new Doctor Who.
Ncuti Gatwa.
Yes, that's his name. About he is a gay black man. Where is he going in the past?
It's just space. No, just space.
We're not doing that.
This time machine only goes in one direction, and that's the future.
Yes.
Wait, there's racists here as well. God damn it!
That was literally the plot of an episode 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it was.
Oh. Yeah. I've fallen out of watching Doctor Who. I really need to get back to it. I don't have television anymore, so
what?
I know.
You have a laptop.
I know.
Do you know that's the equivalent of being a 16-year-old virgin with visions?
I know. And I'm going to lead us into battle. Yeah. And
one day, a woman who doesn't watch television will rise.
I watch YouTube anyway. Kind of like television, isn't it?
It's essentially TV.
Yeah, I don't fucking know. I'm not virtue signaling. I'm not one of them cunts. I just don't have one.
You know, one of those people who goes, "Well, I don't have a TV actually." It's like, do you watch iPlayer all your time on your computer? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I do.
Kind of watching television.
Yeah, I do. Oh no. Anyway, never mind. Don't at me. The thing is, she did not let the army rest on their laurels after they had this success. She pushed for a swift advancement towards Reims, northeast of Orléans, and on the 11th of June 1429, the campaign to clear the Loire towns began, where they proceeded to kick English ass and took no prisoners. On the 29th of June, their passage to Reims to crown Charles was pretty much unopposed, with him being crowned King of France 17th of July 1429. Joan obviously had a seat of honour at the event, and because it was God's will that had been fulfilled, everything was okay and the war ended. Oh wait, no.
I was going to say that wasn't my recollection of it.
Long.
Recollection, eh?
I'm older than I look. I've lived for centuries. I'm a Time Lord.
You managed to get everywhere, though, as a posh Harrogatian.
I have an easier time of it than Ncuti Gatwa because of my white privilege.
Mm-hmm. And a bit better of a time than Joan of d'Arc. There was a truce of 15 days, which doesn't sit well with me because that's one more than 2 weeks. But never mind. Truce of 15 days. It had been negotiated with the Duke of Burgundy so that Charles could run around in his new hat for a bit. But they marched on Paris, and after a standoff with the English, they began their assault on Paris on the 8th of September, 1429. But alas, they were defeated, suffering 1,500 casualties, and Joan was injured in the leg with an arrow. She wanted to continue the assault, but Charles was like, no. And suddenly, because of this defeat, Her role in the French court diminished, and they found it hard to trust her. They wanted a diplomatic solution, whereas she was much more stabby about the whole thing. In October, she was sent as part of a force to take lands such as Saint-Pierre-le-Moutier, which fell to them on the 4th of November, but they suffered a defeat at fuck's sake, these are so hard to say. They suffered a defeat at Le Charité-sur-Loire, which damaged Joan's reputation even further. Yeah.
Oh, La Charité was she failed that siege on the 24th of November, I believe.
Was it?
Which is my birthday. It's one of those weird things. Whenever I think of Joan of Arc, it's because I've always looked at what happened on the 24th of November, and I remember that she fucked up a siege on that day.
But I said 4th. I do apologise. 24th.
So are we to take from this story that making the only job requirement for a military leader role in France in the 15th century as being having a hymen, that might not have been the best military strategy?
To be fair and balanced, the other thing that got you a military commission was you came out of the right vagina.
Yes.
It's
all very
also wasn't working, to be fair, because they weren't in a good place at the start before Joan of Arc came in the story. Yeah.
But the other side were operating the same system, so it feels like there's some other variable.
Fair enough.
That I've just got all fuzzy. I don't know why. Never mind. It'll come back. Anyway, her and her family had been made nobility at this point, but she was being ever more pushed out of things. On the 23rd of May in 1430, Joan was captured in Margny by the Duke of Burgundy.
They go down into the doorstep.
Yeah, they're lovely. Joke of Burgundy's there with his troops.
Oh, it's a lovely one, isn't he?
Next that wine. So, I mean, I've tried to simplify this as much as possible. There was so many factions at this point, but the Duke of Burgundy's troops were allied to the English, and after going on the offensive with a bunch of troops during a truce between the sides without King Charles' permission, basically, Joan just hijacked a bunch of soldiers and was like, "We're going. This'll win me favour." She made a couple, but yeah, anyway, she ended up getting captured, and it all went to shit. She did make a couple of unsuccessful escape attempts, and then she got sold to the English, which is never a good sign, is it? And Charles made no attempt to save her, which I think is quite cold, really, because he wouldn't have even had his nice hat, would he, if it weren't for her?
So far, I'm not sure so far if this girl's for me. I think she's too obsessed with her work, for one thing. And like when you're in a relationship with someone who's obsessed with, it's like I just know if I was in a relationship with her, I'd be waiting for her to be in so we could watch the next episode of Baby Reindeer. I know she's going to be annoyed with me if I watch the next one without her, but she's also never in because she's always out there stabbing godless Englishmen with swords.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And every day I'm going into work and people saying, "Have you finished Baby Reindeer?" And I'm like, "Well, I can't." Joan's always out. Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah. Also, think of the domestic conversations. It's just like, we need to sort out with the landlord that the fridge isn't working. Have you tried stabbing it, Joan? We can't stab everything. I've got 6 guys. I'll just go around. No, just don't go around and talk to them about it, because that always ends with. I mean, last time you took this woman's iPad, I don't know what you were doing, Joan.
It seems basically. Oh, sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say this is a utility bill dispute, not a crusade. How many times?
It just feels like her military tactics were, "Why are you not fighting? You're a soldier. Go and fight." And they were like, "We want to talk to people." And she's like, "But why aren't you fighting? You've got a sword." And that was it. Like, that was her logic, just again and again.
So when you were saying earlier that she gave good advice at the Siege of Orleans, do you think she just rocked up and went, "Guys, have you tried winning?"
I think that is basically it, yeah. Have you considered fighting them?
She's sounding less like a military leader and more like someone who is. And given that she's so into Jesus, she sounds more like a door-to-door kind of like evangelist, four-pointed weapons. Have you accepted the truth of swords into your life?
Well, there's a book that I've always found helps me when I'm in trouble. And by book, I mean this blade, which isn't a book, it's just a fucking blade. But it really helps me in the dark times.
Yeah. Jesus died for your sins. And if I were there, I'd have fucked up those Romans with this sword.
And then killed Jesus as well.
Because that's what she's probably got the whole martyrdom element as well. Like that's another reason why she's going out and fighting, because it is, if you're that into the old rip to Jesus idea, then you probably have got the opinion that you can go out, smash into the English as hard as you like, and either it's going to be fine or you're going to peace out Jesusing.
Yeah.
It's also possible that she's actually channeling her energy in quite a positive way here. Because if you think about what teenage girls are like, they're incredibly catty and they're incredibly bitchy. Like, I think if she wasn't out fighting crusades, she'd just be bullying the fattest member of her friendship group into an eating disorder. And on balance, maybe just being out there killing hordes and hordes of Englishmen.
Aidan, have you read the letter to the Duke of Bedford?
She was well-mean.
Oh, mate, it is a takedown of that man's style. Yeah. She charged into battle. That armour looks good for you. Oh.
That was a brave choice. I wouldn't have worn that with your figure, but it's lovely.
Ooh, chainmail. That's real 20 years war.
So, 9th of January, 1431. Bad day for Joan because she got put on trial for heresy in Rouen. Don't you hate it when that happens?
Every time I've been to France. This is why I prefer not to go anymore.
Yeah. They just can't stop, can they? The accusations were that she was acting upon demonic visions. One person's sin is another person's demon, I guess. And that she was committing blasphemy by wearing men's clothes. In which case I've blasphemed my entire fucking life. Would you believe?
For God's sake, will you stop blaspheming?
God hates it when I wear a jean.
Yeah. Converse again. Put some heels on and go to hell.
God, we've got some stuff that you could sort out around the world. Shut up! I'm looking at that woman. She's got boot cut. The fuck is this?
No, eternity of sunshine for you. So, would you believe that this trial wasn't really a trial?
What?
I know, right?
Are you saying they had kangaroo courts before they'd even discovered Australia? This is mad.
Yeah. I don't know. They didn't even know what kangaroo meant at the time. Just saying it. This will make sense in a few hundred years. So, I mean, there's absolutely no way that the English were going to go, oh, what? Oh, well, no, you make a very sound point there. Touché. She wasn't tortured, but also her trial was very unorthodox. Many rules were bent. But nevertheless, she did actually conduct herself quite well. But on the 23rd of May, 1431, she was abjugated by the court, signing a document saying that she would bear no arms and she wouldn't wear men's clothing. She was put in a dress. She had her head shaved, which feels like, do you want her to look girly or not? Right?
Yeah.
She was kept in chains.
Well, you're saying they should have gone the other direction and given her pigtails, make her look even more feminine.
Yeah, put extensions in.
Yeah. Yeah. But burn her on the stake, but with a weave.
Yeah.
We sentence you to a lovely manicure.
We sentence you to burn on the stake, but we are going to give you the Rachel.
Give her the gender norms. The gender norms.
She's there on the stake and everyone's going, but look at her nails.
Exquisite.
Yeah, lovely.
Whoa! Are you burning like a man? But please.
Burning at the stake because I'm worth it.
So, she was put in chains though, and she was subjected to mistreatment and some rape attempts, which isn't nice, and really does stop the whole being a virgin thing, doesn't it?
Hang on a minute. Can we clarify some rape attempts? Like, did she manage to fight them off?
Well, yeah, that's what it's described as, just rape attempts. So I assume, yeah.
I mean, fair play to her that she's been entirely subjugated militarily, and yet she can still kind of fight people off. That's impressive.
She's literally in chains.
Yeah.
All she sees are two big weapons. They're not pointy, but believe me, I will still swing them.
I mean, you could quite easily garrote somebody, couldn't you, if you're in chains, maybe?
You said that like someone who's garroted.
Yeah, always doing it. So men's clothing was left in her cell as temptation. So she put them on because she said that it was more fitting that she dressed like a man while being held with male guards, and that the judges have broken their promise to let her go to mass and release her from the chains. She said that if they fulfilled the promise and placed her in a decent prison, she would be obedient. She also mentioned that she was still having visions. And when you consider that the two things for keeping her alive was don't wear men's clothes, stop having visions.
Yeah. And then you say, well, I'll be honest, Angel Michael told me to put trousers on. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was enough to prove that she was an unrepentant heretic. She was executed on the 30th of May, 1431. That is such a short window. Like, how did they get all of the admin done?
They didn't do any admin.
Kangaroo courts aren't famous for their bureaucratic process.
Whoa, guys. We may have made this decision before the trial started, but I want to see this in triplicate.
How would they gather that much wood so quickly?
Well, that's the problem when the trial's happening and someone's building a pyre. It's like, I think this isn't very fair. Shush. Now tell me, how flammable would you describe yourself? Is that a question to do with the court? It is a question you must answer.
That's all we need to know.
Do you reckon this whole the ungodliness of women wearing men's clothes, do you reckon that's why right-wing Republican Christians hated Hillary Clinton so much? Because she was showing up for these debates in a pantsuit, and they were like, it's a sign she's the devil.
Yeah, and it's why you got like weird sort of like trad wife stuff happening now. That's all I know. Brr. Oh, look at me. I'm so traditional online with my own personal money stream that I get from social media. Yay, independence. Shh, tell no one.
Yeah, I don't get why you would like willingly just give over any agency that you have over yourself to some guy.
Yeah.
Forever. Anyway, there you go. That's separate in it.
And that's that guy's God. Am I right, Joan?
Yeah. Just like, if you want to be a stay-at-home mum, that's all right. That's a job. Do it. There's much respect to that. But don't then go around and be like, listen, I just think that everybody needs to not have their own money and just give it all to their husband and become a doormat. Fuck off. Anyway,
well, I think some people see other people's lifestyle choices being different to them as being a direct critique of them, rather than just accepting that they're just doing something different to you. Let it go.
Well, I don't think that every woman should become a comedian because I am doing quite well off the fact that there's not many of us. So
let's keep it that way.
Yes.
Well, I don't think many women should become 6'3" men called Paul.
No.
I'm doing very well out of it.
I say that I am actually very supportive of anybody starting, but particularly women. So, shut up.
As long as they don't look and sound exactly like you, because...
Yeah.
I like that you ended that with a shut up. The only people who are going to hear this are your listeners.
Yeah. Well, no, because sometimes people get in touch and they never have anything bad to say about what Aidan's got to say.
Oh,
But,
really?
as soon as a woman has an opinion. Anyway, Joan of Arc.
This is
burnt
my
at the
safe space.
stake. This is my unsafe space. Burnt at the stake, 30th of May, 1431. Her body was thrown into the River Seine and she was 19 years old. I am always very jealous of people who manage to make something of themselves by such a young age.
She's on
Alex
one of those
Turner.
30 under 30.
Yeah.
Alex Turner from the Arctic Monkeys, Macaulay Culkin, Joan of Arc. Just teenage legends.
One of those is doing okay. It is a lot for 19. But then again, like, I think it wasn't unusual for people to achieve a lot, considering you could, catch dysentery at any moment. There was never sort of like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Just hanging out. Don't!
No one ever said, what's your 5-year plan?
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself in 5 minutes?
Hopefully still here.
Do you reckon Joan of Arc could have done... Because I reckon they didn't have careers advisors going into high schools at that point. I reckon she could have potentially benefited from that a bit. Because you do see that and you're like, I want to be a comedian. And they're like, well, maybe you should get a practical trade. She could have benefited from that, going, I want to be a martyr, a Christian martyr who dies fighting for my God and country. They could have benefit to go, we always need nurses. Do you know what I mean? She could have had a nice long life for herself.
Yeah. What do you see as a transferable skill there?
So I guess the question here now is, knowing what we know, would you?
Yes, if it's very specifically the Joan of Arc in Bill and Ted.
Yes. How often do I bring this up, Kath? I always bring up how hot she is in Bill and Ted.
So hot in Bill and Ted.
Really is. Well, it's not. It's sadly not the Bill and Ted, the Joan of Arc from Bill and Ted, or the Mia Jovovich version from the Luc Besson film. All stunning ladies.
So no, this specific Joan of Arc, I am going to say I am not her priority in this relationship.
No.
There are 3 in this relationship. It's me, you, and the big G upstairs.
Yeah. You don't want to have that Martin Bashir interview, do you? There were 3 of us in that relationship. And I was very...
And you don't want that third one to be omnipotent, omnipresent.
Yeah, exactly. Or it could be worse. It could be like, there were thousands of us in that relationship, and most of them were just soldiers that she was telling to slaughter Englishmen. And I am an Englishman. I don't know how we ever matched on Hinge, but there's clearly something wrong with the algorithm. I'm going to say...
Joan, I've just come home, and there's some guys in the spare room. Yeah, no, they did tell me they're the militia of the Duke of Breton. Yeah. It's just I wish you'd tell me before you did it.
We talked about this. Like, I want to come home, I want to relax. I don't mind playing host. I just need some notification. This is why we have a shared Google Calendar. Just put these things in the calendar, and it won't be a surprise.
Yeah, they're cleaning the swords in the bath. Yeah, well, I'm not going to be the one who tidies up.
Yeah, but it's blood they're cleaning off it. Look, as long as... Lads, can you keep it in the bathtub? If it goes in the carpet, I'll never get it out.
Oh, they've sliced through my good towels again. Yeah. Let them drip dry.
Look, if you go pillaging, can you do Sainsbury's? Because I've got a thing with the court workers.
I only got enough milk for one person, and now there's 4,000 French soldiers in here.
Are they staying the night? Because we'll have to let the landlord know.
Let me know if you have to unfold the Z bed.
Who's at the door? Oh, it's the fucking police again. Yeah, no, we will. We'll keep it down. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Bad.
Yeah. It's a pre-battle song. Look, I've got to go, Joan.
To go back to the question. I don't. She's too pious. She's too obsessed with the work. She's too, dare I say, prepubescent for my liking. So, I just think it's a big no from me. Undoubtedly pretty. In all artworks from all the centuries, and indeed in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, a stunningly beautiful woman. But I just think there'd be a big personality clash. So sorry, Joan. You, no. And so, Paul, are you a no as well, or are you a yes?
I think I might be too English.
Yeah.
Fundamentally, I think, given how her stance on the English, she's going to hear this, and I'm getting sordid in a bad way.
Yeah, but you could be like those guys that are like hashtag not all men. You could be like hashtag not all Englishmen. Some of us are pro-French. Kath, would you bang Jeanne d'Arc?
I think I'm really torn because on the one hand, do you know what? She was hot. She knew what she wanted. She was a girl boss. I hate that the feminists have come up with that. It's boss. It's just fucking boss. Like
that's true. Actually,
it's like saying
it undermines their own
manageress. Yeah, bring back manageress. No, manager.
This from a comedian.
Right, you're a male comedian. So she knew her own mind. She fucking went for it. She didn't really care about gender norms. She stuck with it. She didn't go back. She wasn't a coward. She could have been a coward and lived to a ripe old age of 25, and she didn't. She, and I admire that about her. That being said, again, like you said, Paul, too English. I'm extremely English. My French ain't that good, as we've very much established on this podcast. I don't think that we would agree on a lot of things. I think the conversation would suck ass, and I think again she's a bit young and too idealistic. So it's a no from me. But I do admire her.
3 hard no's. I think the last episode it was 3 hard yeses for the subject, and it's a full no either way. Joan of Arc does not make it onto the biotaphatistry. Paul, thanks for coming on the episode. You've been very, very good. You've been very funny.
Oh,
are there any?
Thank you very much.
I said that like I'm surprised, like I'm inviting professional comedians on and going, bloody hell, he's a bit funny, isn't he? You should be a comedian. Do you have any wares you would like to promote? Where can people find you?
No, nothing.
No holes they might find you digging in around the south of England?
I'm good. Just go out and appreciate history and archaeology in all its forms.
If there is any families listening who have children who might want to come and see one of your children's shows, any of them coming up?
Genuinely, no. Got nothing.
Nothing. Well, can they follow you? Should something come up that they might want to see, where would you be announcing that?
It would be on Instagram at PWDWMCGWE. But you will mostly find me just putting up pictures of old buildings and getting horny for them.
Aidan has done more digging there to get any kind of social media out of you than the whole of HS2.
The thing about having comedians on as guests is we're not usually shy about promoting things we're into, and you are very much bucking the trend there.
People take me or leave me. I like to be a surprise, and thank you very much for putting that with the sheer shock in your voice.
Well, we'll take you anytime, both sexually and as a guest on this show. Excellent. Yeah, well, that's it.
Yeah,
thanks for listening. You can go on, sorry.
I was going to say we're on YouTube. We started doing YouTube now. If you want to have a look on there, we're putting the videos of the episodes and stuff on. Give us a little follow. We're on Instagram and all of that shit as well, at HotNotPod. And
if you go to our link tree, you'll see links to bonus content. It's £2 a month. You can be a bonus banger. And if you do that, we'll start dropping some bonus content in that is ready to go.
Yeah, and then we can move into our solid gold house with all of the donations. Yes. But as always, as we always say, spread the word, spread your legs, and remember, it's not what's on the outside, it's what's on the inside of the coffin that counts. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
You have been listening to Historical Hot or Not with me, Catherine Mather, and Aidan McCaffrey. Theme song by David Eagle, and our logo is by Richard Todd. You can head over to co-b.com/hotnotpod. Over there we've got some Hot Knot merch, we are currently selling branded condoms and branded badges. Get over there while stocks last.
The references and bibliography for this episode are slim. We use 2 sources. Wikipedia, our old friend, our best friend, our one true love, if you will. And the sort of poem, wasn't a poem, the speech I did at the beginning about gentle dolphin, the king of heaven has sent us to bring you your kingdom and your board, blah, blah, blah. That was Joan of Arc, Have Pity on Me from the Lark by Jean Anouilh. It wasn't that. I butchered it by putting references to our particular brand of crass genital-based humour. But it'd be remiss of me not to mention that is where I took the form of the speech from. Thank you for listening.